I'm Mary Mercado, and I am a producer and director based in Houston, Texas. I've been working in the industry for more than 20 years. I currently work part-time for Good Morning America and also for an architecture show called America by Design, which airs on CBS News 24/7. I did go to a four-year university. I initially started out in pre-med and realized quickly that all those sciences were not for me, but I'd always been a pretty good writer, so I switched my major to journalism and started my very first class, Mass Communications 101, and as part of that class, I had to do a lab in the campus TV station. And to me, that was the best education I got there. I went one night and then I came back and volunteered the whole rest of the year, every single night. At that station, I was able to do every single job to put on a TV news broadcast. Everything from running cameras, pulling cable, running audio, doing electronic graphics, teleprompter. At that time, we were feeding ENG tapes in to run the different stories. But that experience taught me every aspect of how to do a production. I feel like I got the bug right away. As soon as I was in that environment, something about the lights, the urgency, the adrenaline of it, doing a live broadcast, that hooked me, and I loved it ever since. Well, I still had, because I worked in hospitals all through high school and college, and I really thought I was going to be a doctor. When that didn't work out for me, but I found that that experience really helped me. So healthcare medicine has been one of my niches that I've done multiple projects with hospital organizations, doctors, physicians, and writing for healthcare publications as well, because I had that love and interest. So doing other things, having an interest and knowledge in a certain field will only be a great asset as a producer. I actually have gone to 4 different universities. I never finished my degree, but each one provided a different bit of education that helped me get where I am today. I really think education to start with is the groundwork that you need, because not only will education teach you the structure of how to do things, it gives you access. You know, colleges and universities, even trade schools, have networks that you can count on. The other big thing is internships. Do as many internships as you can. Get yourself exposed to other people at different TV stations or different production projects, production houses, because that's going to give you the network that you need when you want to go out on your own. Networking is a huge part of making your way in this business. And not only knowing people, and that starts by, like I say, volunteering, working for free, getting to know people who are in the industry. If you've got a cousin, an aunt, an uncle, or someone you heard's in the broadcast field, I would reach out to them and see who they know. Everybody's willing to help. So, because people help us. I had great mentors, people who believed in me early on, especially in my days in Detroit, because I did all kinds of shows and specials and TV. I did an HGTV show there, but I had one reporter in particular who was a hard as nails street crime reporter, but she knew her stuff. And I loved working with her because not only did I learn from her, but she also gave me access. I remember we did a story one time with the president of General Motors, and we took his classic car out on the road, and because of that relationship and her reputation with him, we were able to do something very unique, and that helped me later. I was at a big press conference at the North American International Auto Show. We were in a scrum of reporters from all over the world, and that president of GM, because of that relationship, I see him ready to answer questions. He gives me the look, he's coming to me. And he let me ask my question. He gave a great answer, and that's how we led the piece, with that answer that he gave me. I have mentored dozens of aspiring producers, reporters. I've had interns work with me in the field. I have had friends of a friend's, you know, a mom reached out, my son wants to break into the business. And what he did is I am willing to have anybody come and shadow me, spend the day with me, because people did that for me. The biggest piece of advice is have a can-do attitude. Yeah, I can do it. I'll try it. Fake it till you make it. Be willing to give it a try. The other thing is, I think that being a good writer has been a tremendous asset. Not that you need to necessarily do a lot of writing as producing, but you are writing intros and outros. You're writing questions to help your anchors or on-air people. you know, being able to put a story together, craft a story, knowing how a story is going to work, thinking in advance of what's a good soundbite because you've written stories, that will help you be a better producer. It was kind of a little bit of a long road. I started out, my very first job was at an ABC station where I got a job as the teleprompter operator, and it was like the only, you know, it was an entry-level job. And it was fine, but again, because I had experience doing all these other things at the station, quickly I learned to do electronic graphics, run the Chiron, and then weekend I did cameras, but I really wanted to be a writer. I wanted to be a news writer. So I talked to the weekend producer and I volunteered to come in for free to write for them. And he welcomed it, of course, because they're always shorthanded on the weekends. So I came in, then I had news clips and scripts that I could show for the next job to help me get the next job. One thing, in the middle of all that, I got married, I have 5 children, I continued to freelance write, and then once my kids were in school pretty much full time, I was able to get back into TV. I had my old clips, I had a reel of some things I'd done, and I was able to get a job at a big ABC station in Detroit, Michigan. I wrote this email to the news director that he has still saved to this day. It was a crazy email telling him all the wonderful things I could do for him, how I would work for free. I was willing to any and everything. And he called me and hired me. And I started out as a news writer, worked up to producing, and then they had some different community events, and I volunteered to help at the community events. And after that, one of the programming producers said, "How would you like to produce a show?" And I'm like, "Well, I've never done a TV show before, but let's try it." And so I did. I looked at what someone else had done, kind of copied it, and the rest is history. So I've been working in this industry for more than 20 years. So I started in the days with, you know, hand-fed DVC Pro tapes, Betamax, you name it. We were literally using tape machines to edit. And then everything transferred to digital, which I thought was fantastic because you had to edit in a linear way prior to that. And so this now you could just kind of pick and choose and make it so easy. And really anyone can edit. Anybody with an iPhone can shoot video. So to be able to have high quality and understand that all these mediums can work together is important, and also to stay up with the current technology. Obviously the newest and greatest and latest is AI technology, and that has been a tremendous blessing, especially when it comes to writing, because I can put in content from a call sheet and say, you know, write me 2 conversational questions. Oh, that was okay, but let's make it more personal, and then it changes it, and it just makes my job so much easier. It can summarize notes from meetings. It can transcribe interviews. That was my favorite thing that ever happened, is when we could transcribe interviews, because back in the day we had to hand log every single word that was spoken, and that was not fun. But you need to stay current with the technology, learn how to use it, appreciate it, and use it to make your product better. Obviously, logging tape was the biggest change for me. As far as getting into the business, I think that now you have access. You can make your own videos, you can make your own reel, you can get your microphone, go stand out if you want to be a reporter and make your own reel. See what other people are doing, learn what quality is, and learn how to make it happen for yourself. One of the greatest assets that has helped me in my career is being willing, saying yes when people ask you to help out. Before I was ever producing a show, I also was a PA on certain productions. I would help other producers. I'm also a very good observer, and so I would look around and see people doing the jobs that I wanted and wanted to know how they did it. So I watched and figured things out. I also had a very can-do attitude. I know that in all the interns that I've mentored ever since, the interns that come in and are willing to go the extra mile, to show up to help out on the special community project or the parade or the big event broadcast, those are the ones that make it. I have multiple interns who are now executive producers, news directors, on-air reporters, and the ones that made the effort are the ones that made it. There's a lot of things I do to prepare. I think the biggest thing is really knowing the content, because our jobs as producers is to be able to create a story from what we gather out in the field. So thinking in advance about what that story might be, planning for that, doing your research. Usually there's a pre-production meeting where you learn more about what the story elements might be, but I like to take it a step further. I always Google the person, the project, and see if there's anything else that's been done with them. I love to look on YouTube to see if anybody's done a YouTube video prior, so I can see how they act, what they've talked about before, because sometimes you'll find things that were not brought up in the pre-production meeting that will help you make a connection with that person when you're doing the interview. It's a wide range of things I've done. You know, from breaking news, that you have no preparation, but the one preparation that I do is I stay current on what's happening in the news. Because if I get a call from ABC, they may say, go to the border. And I better know what's going on, because they're not going to give me questions. I have to come up and be able to figure out, you know, what the story is. Sometimes I'm literally getting emails sent to me as I'm driving in, and I have to go interview some official or some organization, and I better know what's going on. I had to do that during COVID. I had to do that during RSV. Go to the hospital, get a sound bite. Nobody's got time to tell me what to say or ask. So you better know what's going on. When it comes to commercial shoots, you better know the business, you better know the people. When I've interviewed people for different shows and VIPs or whatever, like I say, I like to prepare by getting to know a little bit about them personally. I had one situation where I had to interview a race car driver, and it was very clear he did not want to be interviewed. He did not like doing this. And I had read up on him. And one of the things that I found out is that he loved to play the drums. And so in the course of this, you know, this rote interview where he's given the same answers to the same questions he's been asked a million times, first of all, I said, you don't really like doing this, do you? And he goes, no. And it just kind of broke the ice. And then I started asking him, I said, but I heard you like to play the drums. Tell me about that. And all of a sudden he lit up, he opened up, and it was a whole thing that built rapport. And year after year, then I was able to meet with him, and we had something that we could talk about that opened a door for me and made the interview go so much better. Probably the hardest thing is, you know, working in maybe a corporate shoot where someone who's not used to being on camera at all. I would say one of the biggest mistakes people make is they're nervous, and so they write out everything that they want to say. And then you start doing the interview and they can't speak off the cuff, and they can't remember the words that they prepared. And so that makes for a very uncomfortable interview. And sometimes you've got to do multiple takes with that person. You need to get them to calm down and relax and reassure them that they know this stuff, and just ask them to tell the story from their expertise. And usually once you get past that, you can get a much better interview. But that can be a very tricky, hard situation that requires a lot of patience, a lot of smiles, and helping smooth things over with your personality. One thing I do want to talk about is producer versus reporting. So I think everybody, when you go to journalism school, you think you're going to be an on-air reporter, and nobody really talked to me about being a producer. I think it's more talked about in school now because of different interns I've worked with, but I feel like producing is awesome for a lot of reasons, mainly because you are in control of whatever project. You have a lot of creativity involved in creating a show or a special, or even how a shoot is produced, making it look and feel interesting. You do interviews just like a reporter. You can be on camera or not, most of the time not, which alleviates a lot of pressure. But the day I knew I'd chosen the right path is when I was working at my TV station and I saw the reporter standing out on the side of the freeway in a blizzard, and I thought, I get to be inside. The most epic shoot that I ever had was I was doing a wedding planning show where we gave a free wedding away, and we were following the couple through all the stages of planning their wedding. So we were with the wedding planner in the most beautiful suite at the Westin Hotel at the Detroit airport. Back in those days, we had lights that still were hot, and we had a stagehand who put the light next to a sprinkler sensor. We heard a little pop. We didn't know what that was. We just continued going on with our interview, and all of a sudden, all the ceiling sprinklers went off in the middle of the shoot. And not only that, because this was at the airport, it had a whole set of fire protocols that happened. We had metal doors come down on every floor of this 11-story hotel. We had the fire engine screaming across the tarmac at the airport. And it was crazy. And of course I had to make the call to the station and say, hey, we have a little situation. But we were able to make it right for the hotel, got everything cleaned up, and then obviously continue on with production of the show. I mean, there have been a million hiccups in different shoots that I've done. People not showing up, people being late, weather, train horns, sound issues. You have to be able to react in whatever situation you're given, and you have to remain calm. I would say that's the most important thing. No matter what happens, no matter what the scenario is, your job as a producer is to make sure everybody who's going to be on camera looks good, feels confident, and they're not going to feel that way if you're not feeling that way. I would say confidence and preparation and a lot of patience, because sometimes you're going to have to do multiple takes with someone who's very nervous, someone who can't get their words out, and you have to just smile, remain calm, and do it one more time. My favorite thing about being a producer is on any given day when I wake up, especially when I work for ABC, I never know where I'm going to end up that day. I may get on a plane, I may be at a tragedy, I may be interviewing a celebrity or a sports figure or a politician. And it has given me access to people that I never thought I would be able to meet. I sat down and produced an interview with Oprah Winfrey one time, and that was a real pinch me moment for sure, because I was raising my kids watching Oprah, and now all of a sudden here she was in front of me, and it was an unbelievable experience. That was a great moment, but I'll say my favorite day of all time was a day I was doing IndyCar coverage in Detroit, so I had interviews with certain race car drivers, and also Kid Rock was there. So we were taking hot laps. I was doing a lap. I did a hot lap in a race car with Elio Castroneves. Then I came back and Kid Rock did a lap with him. Then his girlfriend who he brought did a lap. And so it was Kid Rock and I hanging out on the edge of the race course having a little chat on a sunny May afternoon.